Welcome to another episode of Psychonaut Sessions, your home for all things psycho. This is your host, Daniel Moeller, and today we're going to take a look at the Garbage Pail Kids official tarot deck from Insight Editions. Insight, not inside. This is official, ladies and gentlemen. Illustrated by Mira and Kim and written by Minerva Siegel. This is an incredible book and deck. It's got a great, nice, solid box to keep it in. Sometimes tarot boxes are just like huge and gigantic, and they can become cumbersome, or they just will come in these like little like sleeve like boxes that just end up falling apart really quick. This one's just a really nice, easy lift and shift. It's sturdy, so I really greatly appreciate it. Here's the Tarot guidebook. It's actually really nice and thorough. The really great thing I like about the guidebook is that it's got color images of all of the cards, even the minor arcana versus the major arcana, which usually, I mean, they'll always highlight the major arcana in most books, and then the minor arcana, sometimes you won't get color images or it just kind of becomes fodder. And I don't appreciate that. I say go all out, and just go crazy with it. So, Mira and Kim is a painter and illustrator. She's actually done stuff for Marvel Comics, Absolute Vodka, Topps, obviously, because Topps owns the property for Garbage Pail Kids, etc. And Minerva Siegel has written a few books on tarot for self-care, and how to use tarot to manifest your best self. So you can find Minerva at Spooky Fat Babe on Instagram. So really great team. The really wonderful use of the actual characters. The characters in this deck aren't invented. They are actual Garbage Pail Kids characters. So it's not like they just kind of took the idea of Garbage Pail Kids and then, I don't know, just like made a bunch of characters to fit the tarot iconography that looked like them. They used actual characters and matched them up, even in the minor arcana. This is like one of the first decks I have ever owned where I'm even pulling the minor arcana, and I'm just as excited to get a minor arcana card as I am a major arcana. Usually I'm more of a major arcana fan. No, I mean, I think they did a great job. So what I'd like to do is just kind of go through some of the cards. Specifically, I'm just going to kind of walk through briefly the major arcana, just to kind of show off the work that was done here, and then I might walk through a few of the minor arcana, and I've already split them out. But I mean, take a look at the backs of these cards, just excellent. What's cool about this is it's not like it says GPK like right on it, which I was kind of afraid of. It's still like, so if you have a whole series of a deck of cards, it's just kind of this cool esoteric kind of imagery, but it just does have a little bit of like that cartoony sensibility about it, which I greatly appreciate. I really, really love the backs of these cards. So let's walk through the minor or major arcana, and I'm trying to see if it, will show off. So here we get the Fool, and as you've noticed, we're already getting a lot of like the primary symbolism that you would actually see in any other tarot deck. You've got him walking off the cliff, from right to left normally. You've got the dog nipping at his feet, and he is carrying his satchel, so on and so forth. And then there's this like bloom of flower to kind of represent the innocence, but of course, I can't remember which Garbage Pail Kid it is though, but he's some kind of like piggy dude, and he's like puking all over himself. So you get your GBK sensibility. You got the sun coming from the background. So the Fool, moving into a new endeavor and just walking off that cliff. like an idiot, with that sense of innocence and ignorance, and just, taking off on a new adventure of life. And then here we got the magician. So, again, you've got the elements represented, with the chalice, the pentacle, the swords, and the wands. So earth, air, fire, and water. And the magician is the really, truly the binding of those elements together, and is the master of those elemental powers. So hella yes, just all around it works. Of note, there's some added symbolism here of a snake belt, which is actually highly recognized, I think, in some Egyptian, but I know specifically my expertise is in Peruvian ancient cultures, and that was a symbol of, oftentimes, like the priest or the shaman of the culture was having a snake belt, so which is a symbol of wisdom, not deceit or devilry or anything like that. Here we get the high priestess. Now, I wanted to look this up before the video, and I didn't, but the high priestess is actually one of my favorite characters, Spacey Stacy. So Spacey Stacy, she's like a first gen Garbage Pail Kid. She's like the alien girl. I'm trying to see if the camera will, come on, camera. Let's give them some detail. Let's go, camera. And I just loved like the airbrushed quality of her skin, and I just remember staring at it as a kid. A lot of times the camera is just not going to cooperate with me today. Here we go. Look at that. But you can see all of the detail that they put in these cards. They are not mistaking anything. But again, the high priestess, she's got some of the symbolism. I am missing the pillars. I really want the pillars of Boaz and Joachim, of the temple, to be in the background. But we do get the moon imagery. She's holding the scroll, and it's Garbage Pail Kids, so I'm not going to complain. Here we got the Empress, which is all about like the freedom of nature, and just creativity, so on and so forth. Here we got the Emperor, who obviously is Adam Bomb, who is the primary, mascot for GPK. And he is the Emperor, of course. Why wouldn't he be? So they turned it as Adam Bomb into a crown. We even got some of the some lion symbolism there. So that's pretty cool. One of the brainy dude, god dang it, I can't remember the names right now, but he is the Hierophant, which is all right. We got the pillars there. We got the two pillars there. Normally with the Hierophant, there's also two people leaning down, but we do get at least these like two candlesticks there to kind of represent that notion. The Lovers. And one thing about the Lovers card that I'm a real stickler for is you got to have that third element, where the lovers are kind of like bonding together into like a third higher thing, which they're representing here with a heart. So I was almost like, but it works. We're actually getting a revisit of Atom Bomb and then his like female counterpart, and their heads exploding into this heart cloud thing. But yeah, in a lot of tarot imagery, you'll actually see three elements of the self being represented. Usually two in polarity, and then a higher version of oneself. And the Lover's card is one of those cards that I'm absolutely not forgiving for. If you don't have that third component there, you have to have it, or I don't like your deck. But they did it. So strength, we don't have the female struggling with a lion, but she is balancing on a ball, which I thought was actually pretty cool, in a different way to symbolize what the strength card actually means, to be kind of balancing on this like natural ground, and like the balance with the chaos of the roundness of nature. Circles and round things are often like an emblematic of the natural world or the feminine. So I thought that was like a pretty good depiction, pretty solid. Really like it. The Hermit, very, very interesting depiction of the Hermit here. And if I can get back up, it's just like the detail of this like tree dude. Oh, come on. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying. Just like, what? And I can't remember what the actual Sappy Sarah, that's it. Everyone needs time alone every now and then. The hermit advises you to slow down and really consider your situation. So Sappy Sarah, I guess that makes sense. Um, Pretty cool though. I mean, wild card, absolutely wild card. Wheel of Fortune. This is my wife's card in the sense that it aligns with like her. There's a way that she figures out how to using your birth date and astrology, whatever, I don't know, that figures out, what tarot card aligns with your life path. That's kind of like your mascot card, and Wheel of Fortune is hers. Um, but they got all of it down here. We got the Sphinx symbolism, the serpent on the lower half of the wheel. We got the four holy living creatures as recorded in the Old Testament, and their primary symbols in magical work. We've got the yin and yang. Like it's like everything that's needed for the Wheel of Fortune card is actually here. So again, props and kudos, and just well done. The artwork by Mirren is just amazing. Justice, Leaky Lindsay for Justice, another old Garbage Pail Kids favorite. Um, I mean, uh, you can't get better than that. That's that's amazing. Hangman. So Hangman's my life card, actually, my life path card. Wacky Jackie, which it's is very gross and disgusting. That's the like tongue. This like harkens back to old school Garbage Pail Kids, when they were like horribly offensive and downright even. Some people couldn't even take looking at them because it was like you're torturing children and Cabbage Patch Kids, and as a young boy in the 80s, you're like, yeah, give it to me. This stuff's awesome. So great depiction of the Hanged Man, just very insane. And Wacky Jackie, it's interesting because it's just like, attributing the Hangman to that like insanity, because it's really about like looking at the world from a completely different perspective, turning yourself upside down, and most people think that's insane and messed up, but really it's just probably the right way to be saying things. Death, of course, we get Grim Jim. So Grim Jim for death, and really cool, beautiful card. I love the subtlety. And you do get flowers here, which is very important for the death card to have some kind of floral growth, because that's really what death is about. Really eerie looking face within the flower there. Just gorgeous, gorgeous card. I couldn't expect anything better. This may be one of my most favorite death cards of any tarot deck. Really excellent work. All right, Temperance, really cool one for Temperance. Yeah, Balanced Betty. This is actually a new character. So they did invent a couple of new characters, but it's not like they just made up something whatever. Like it's an actual character. So really cool a way to depict temperance. You've got the fluidity of the heavens and of the below and the waters, coming and meeting in the middle. And she's balancing those two. That's very emblematic of temperance. You got these really cool, and we see this in some of the other cards, almost like 50s or 60s style, like mid-century modern, like starbursts, and sensibilities, which I am a huge fan of. It's almost Jetsons-y, and so I love that kind of introduction of design work into the cards for sure. The Devil. The Devil card is okay. You can actually see more of the devil inside of what's this dude's name again? Cranky Frankie. So it's actually a depiction of like two different characters. Hot Scott, and you can see him like kind of in the chest of Cranky Frankie there. And then you get a host of people being tortured. Now, again, I'm actually, I don't know. I mean, so the artwork on this card is very well done. But again, I am kind of a stickler for some of these things. So the Devil card is actually supposed to be kind of a just another version of the Lovers card and the Hierophant, which is supposed to have two people leaning down below, and this is supposed to have two people leaning. It's kind of like an inversion. The Devil is kind of like an inversion of like that Hierophantic power, not being used appropriately. And so the two people being chained are really being chained by their own idea of their higher self, more like a scapegoated version. So it's not like a devil as in it's the devil, it's Satan. It's more about like that scapegoat that we use within ourselves, like being chained by our ego. But still, it's cool. I'm down. Now, I would much rather get the Devil card than the Tower. The Tower is rough. And of course, for the Tower, we use Crack Jack, which is kind of like that Humpty Dumpty version of the Garbage Pail Kid. This one is very detailed. It's got this kind of like Wicker Man sort of feel to it, and Crack Jack is like falling off. It's actually kind of a menacing looking card, and I would say the Tower card is the most menacing. It is the card I would least want to pull if I was like trying to project in my life. The Star, this one's wild. Hopeful Hedda. Now this is like just weird, the way that this card was done. But we do got the primary magical star that's used in magical workings. Oh my gosh, it's not taking this. But the way Hopeful Hedda looks and the way like the water sprouting out of her, and those markings, it's just weird. I mean, some of these cards look like something that would be coming out of Alice in Wonderland. I mean, they're just insanely psychedelic and messed up, as they should be. The Moon, again, the Moon is supposed to kind of like some of those other cards where you have two pillars and you have two wolves instead of two people down below. And we got another of what's his name? They don't have his name actually, but Eerie Eric is the Moon. But I mean, it's got the balance in there. It's the Moon is totally about the balance between oneself and the other. It's weird that they have this leaf being the sort of crab that comes out to represent the primordial nature of the universe. So very interesting depiction of the Moon. And they're playing up the whole werewolf kind of thing. I just wish they would have had the dog there as well, to represent the more tamer side, because it's really about that struggle of like the primordial, like chaotic powers of nature and the tamer side, and trying to, it's all right. Another card that I'm a huge stickler for is the Sun. Now, I really love this card. It's another new character called Beachy Brian, and the Sun is his fucking afro. It's just beautiful. And he's casting his own shadow. I love the lines coming off of the Sun. I absolutely love those. But again, I'm a huge stickler for the Sun actually having an enclosed wall because it's actually about containing that Sun energy for growth to ensue. But I mean, this card is freaking beautiful. I just love it. Judgment. Here we got the two people in Judgment. It works. And we've got the horn coming out of the higher self. And this is actually very much, wow, emblematic of like stripping out of the old self through that death and growing into something new. The imagery is all over the place. Another thing I really loved about Garbage Pail Kids, and I loved about the earlier cards, was sometimes just these plain backgrounds that were just these airbrushed, monochromatic, starting with a darker color and going to a lighter one. I don't know why. It just mesmerized me as a child. I would stare at those backgrounds forever. And I think it's because they reminded me a lot of the tones and colors like in the backgrounds of the Alice in Wonderland cartoon, which was one of my favorites. And it also kind of reminds me of my Dreamtime. My Dreamtime kind of has that feel. And then the final card in the Major Arcana, the World. Again, we get the 4 holy living creatures. So I'm down with that. You got to have those in there. And I can't remember who was the lady in this. Masterpiece Eunice, which is another new character that they did introduce. So that's cool. Yeah, I don't really have any complaints. It's not my favorite card in the deck, but I like it. Art and creativity and just all around good card. I love it. And so in some of the other cards, again, I'm just going to kind of flip through the Minor Arcana real quick. This is actually one that I just pulled recently, so I kept it at the top. Really, really love. This is the one with one of my favorite. I think he is my absolute favorite because I was a sucker for Dracula and anything vampiric as a kid. So anything vampire related or Dracula related, especially, I just loved. So it's Nasty Nick. I forgot his name for a second. Sorry. As the 4 of Wands, but I mean, again, look at the details here. And what's really cool about the Nasty Nick card is in the original one, he's biting a Barbie, and we got like a version of her in the stained glass here, like holding her neck. It's pretty funny. But there's Nasty Nick. A lot of fun. He's reading GPK comics. I mean, look at the amount of detail that is in these. Let me move some of this stuff. Just wholly impressed. I'm just going to kind of flip through some here so you can kind of take a look. So is this deck worth it? 100,000,000%. This deck is worth it. At this point, and I've got a lot of tarot decks, this is the only one I'm using. Even though a lot of the cards do not. I used to have a Garbage Pail Kids cup that had Nasty Nick on one side and this dude, the candy dude, where all his teeth are falling out and stuff. Freaking hilarious. Love it. But yeah, so even though some of the cards do not fully adhere to the traditional symbolism, overall, it is absolutely my favorite deck. Hands down. It doesn't get better than this. Really, truly, the symbolism in all of the cards, even the Minor Arcana, are worth it. They all have a real, actual story to tell. And it all always seems kind of relevant to my life. So, and why wouldn't I? I mean, this is very relevant as a cosmology in my own personal life. GPK were, the first set of any kind of cards I ever collected, even before baseball cards or comic cards. And they are amazing. They're creative. They're innovative. And someday I want to make my own kind of version of GPK, for real. Um, I would give anything to work for Tops and to be able to do GPK stuff. Um, so if anybody out there's listening, you know. So yeah. All right. Well, go out and buy. I'll put a link in the description. So if you're into tarot, and even if you're not, if you're a GPK fan, you've got to add this to your collection for sure. And everybody, just know I'm giving this a 5-star review, 5 out of 5. I'll give it a 1,000,000-star review. Just absolutely love it. Thank you, everybody, so much. Everybody, stay safe out there and keep it psycho.